Hey there, welcome to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, your president just unilaterally yesterday decided he's going to slap some new tariffs on a few things, one of them being electric vehicles, one of them being a bunch of components that are used in electric vehicle batteries. There's also a few other things that you may be interested in, steel and aluminum. You don't use anything made out of those. Well, new tariffs are being slapped on. This whole protectionist thing is it's very disappointing for the free market capitalist pigs of the world. That was one of the things that disappointed us about Donald Trump was the protectionist tariffs. And well, the guy that's supposed to be, another free market capitalist pig. Well, that's not very free market. That's not very capitalist. Protectionist tariffs. So Biden does the same thing. It's like, well, dang it. I guess everyone's subscribed to the same horrible economic philosophies that have dominated at least like the past whatever administrations of my life and your life. But let's dig into this, because I don't want to just say electric vehicles are a dumpster fire. This is a racket. I mean, it is. But let me explain myself a little better, because we all just found out about this yesterday. So I went back and I gathered some notes, because this comes up on talk shows all the time. But Biden has said that his goal is half of all the new cars sold in America to be electric. The time on that has kind of shifted. I think the last one I remember was 2030. But Gavin Newsom has taken that a step further. The governor of California said he wants to ban all new gas cars by like 2035 or something ridiculous like this. So they say that they are all in on electric cars. In fact, the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. But not those electric cars, not the ones from China. No. It's not so important that we can't put a tariff on these and slow the growth of electric cars if it's not the electric cars that we prefer for you to buy. So it challenges their credibility right there. But I want you to look at the electric car industry as it stands right now. One of the big ones, I mean, everyone knows what's going on with Tesla. But beyond that, what's going on? You might have seen a Rivian. There's a Rivian that's in the parking garage by my work here. I have to walk past it every once in a while. I'm like, okay, cool, a Rivian. It certainly looks cool. It's not a cool stock to own, though. They just had their IPO, their public offering in November of 2021. Stock started out at about $130 a share. Now it's about $11 a share. So we're talking about a wildly failing company here, and it may be on the way out the door. But hey, it's been getting millions and millions and millions of subsidies. It's been getting protectionist tariffs. It's been getting subsidies on its components. It's been getting subsidies on the purchase. It's been getting subsidies on the charging station. Yet it's still failing. It's lost more than 90% of its market cap in 2.5 years? There's another one called Canoo. Now, you haven't heard of Canoo, but it's one of those cute things where they misspell an existing word. Canoo. It's a California company. You subsidize their cars, you subsidize their batteries, you subsidize their purchase, their charging stations as well. However, they're not really good at selling to customers. They've been able to sell for a long time. Their only significant customer base was the Postal Service and NASA, who said, we're going to buy a few thousand electric vehicles and we're going to buy them from this company that's never done anything before. That's not suspicious. And then somehow Walmart was strong-armed into ordering a big order from them last year. However, not enough to rescue their stock. Their stock's down by about 98%. It went from $200 in their IPO a couple years ago to $2.80 now. It's about to fold. Fisker, another giveaway. And I don't want to just repeat myself. It's just like Canoo, also in California. There's another one called Faraday Future. Another giveaway, also in California. Nikola, like Nikola Tesla. I guess they wanted to use both of his names, didn't they? But Nikola makes big rigs. It's the company that makes what's supposed to replace the big diesel, the diesels, the tractor trailers, 18-wheelers. It's actually based out of Phoenix. Hey, finally one that's not based in Cali. But Hyliion, that one's in Austin. But none of these, after millions and millions of dollars, after years, after all kinds of protectionist tariffs, component help, network help, charging help, battery help, still not taken off like has been promised. Now, that's not the most interesting part. That's just the electric car companies. Now, far more important are the lessons from the ghost of electric car past. Would you like to go with me to the ghost of electric car past? We're gonna go on a history lesson here. Come with me. We're gonna go to the first electric vehicle company. What do you think the first electric vehicle company was? The first electric vehicle manufacturer. Actually, here's a better question. What year was it? This is car history. Why don't you know this? You know the history of Ford. You know all about Henry Ford and the assembly line, Model T and Model A and the Edsel. You've heard of all that. You know about Mr. Mercedes and Mr. Benz over in Germany getting together and making engines. But in America and in the world around, I couldn't figure out if this was just the first one in America or the whole planet. But this is the first one I could find. It's called Baker Motor Company. They put out their first electric vehicle in the year. Anybody want to guess? Judges, you want to guess? 1899. That's how old the electric car is. Yes, the people that are telling you the electric car is progress. It's the car of the future. It's the new technology, and it's going to put that obsolete old silly internal combustion engine to bed. Well, it's not quite able to make it obsolete. It wasn't able to make it obsolete at the turn of the last century. What makes you think it's going to be able to make it obsolete at the turn of this century? But that Baker Motor Vehicle Company, it's in the history books. Not only was it the first electric vehicle manufacturer in America, it was kind of famous for a minute there. Thomas Edison bought one. However, it only has the top speed of around 12 miles an hour. And when the gas-powered cars started zooming past it and proving themselves more reliable and faster to recharge and whatever, it ended up having to merge with another vehicle maker. And eventually, that branch of the merged company was gone by like 1932. Another one you might recognize, Studebaker. The Studebaker Corp was launched in 1852. It started out with wagons, then moved on to cars. And then for a little while, they did have an electric car division. It only lasted about 9 years, though. The first one came out in 1902. 1911 was the last one. Studebaker, of course, no longer with us, but that was a 9-year run that ended in 1911. There's another one. The other big car company from 100 years ago is called the Anderson Detroit Electric Car Company. They built their first electric car in 1910. Gone. Didn't last that long. In fact, Henry Ford's wife drove one of these for a while. Henry Ford was thinking about getting into the business and was looking into it and decided, no, the gas thing's the way to go. Turns out Henry Ford was right. Al Gore was wrong. So, all right, that's the world of electric vehicle past. Let's go to the more recent history of electric vehicles, because since about the 30s or so, the electric vehicle world in America died. And then it was resurrected like Frankenstein by all these global warming nerds, and starting in around the 2000s, the early 2000s. We will continue the history of the electric vehicle because, look, that's fun learning about the ancient past and learning how there was already a technology race between electric vehicles and gas vehicles won out in like 1911. So they're bringing back this dead industry for what? To pump billions and billions of dollars into it? And what do we get out of it? And for all the billions that we've gotten, for how many of these companies have gone out of business? Now, the reason why the history, especially the recent history of electric vehicles is so important is because it's really an analysis of how have your investments in electric vehicles done thus far? How have the promises and predictions of those people who are spending billions of your taxpayer dollars, how have they panned thus far? Because if you want to answer the question, well, should we keep doing this? Well, how has it done thus far? Well, the president is making some changes based on this week. 100% tariff on electric vehicles from China. I thought these were the vehicles of the future. Why would you want to do that? It's almost like you don't really want to send electric vehicles. You just want to send these specific electric vehicles for these specific companies that you've picked out. But how have these specific companies that they've picked out before, how have they worked? All right, let's come back to the modern age. I told you about the electric vehicles that all died off 100 years ago. One of the big ones, even before Tesla was big, Aptera. You don't remember Aptera, but it was founded in 2005. They had trouble getting a whole bunch of people to invest. Hey, it's a failed business model. But when the subsidies started rolling in, it still failed. And they were expecting to get a big loan from the Department of Energy. And Department of Energy said, no, can't do it. And so then Aptera said, well, then we'll just do crowdfunding. All these people who are concerned about the planet, certainly they'll donate some money. $2.8 million was donated. Still failed. Bright Automotive. It was around the same time as Aptera, and really this was about when Tesla was getting going. They actually had to close down in 2012 as well. They had received a big grant from General Motors. They were being subsidized by one of the big three. And that was something that was leaned on by General Motors. Hey, you know that bailout we just gave you in the 2008, 2009 financial crash? Remember when we did all the bailouts? One of the things was, hey, if we're going to give you billions, certainly you can kick a little bit to this pet project of ours. Bright Automotive had the bright idea of a plug-in hybrid designed to get 100 miles per gallon. Failed. Coda Automotive raised $344 million from investors in 2009, including former U.S. Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson. It filed for bankruptcy 4 years later, sold less than 100 of its electric-powered sedans. Electric last mile solutions. It had been developing a commercial electric vehicle like those little speeder vans. It's a more recent one. It went through those SPAC deals. You know, I don't know if you know what SPACs are, but it's like where they come up with the mergers just set up specifically to take a company public. Anyway, when it went through its SPAC public deal, it was worth $1.4 billion. It filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy last year. Mullen Automotive, another electric car startup, also went public on a SPAC merger. It declined 64% in the past year, and it's only been around for 2 years. It looks like it's on its way out. It's looking for another merger to hopefully save it. Fisker Automotive raised $1.4 billion in public and private investments, which means a lot of that was your money, to $529 million from the Department of Energy in 2009. Still failed. They only built 2,450 units. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy 2014. Lordstown Motors went public, $1.1 billion in funding over 5 rounds. A ton of your money was thrown at them too, and other air quotes loans that end up getting forgiven. Well, it doesn't matter. It's not going to pay off any of those loans. It folded in the fall of 2023, just about 9 months ago. But the real fight here isn't proving what an embarrassing failure these electric vehicle subsidies and supporters have been. The real fight here, if you want to stop this, the backstop is we've got to stop with the global warming hoax. That is the predicate for all of this. It's not just the predicate for spending over $1 trillion now in all these green energy projects, whether it's solar power, whether it's windmills, whether it's electric cars. They're ruining your entire life. I mean, think about the money if we just didn't have to print like another $1 trillion of that. Inflation wouldn't have been as bad. Our deficit wouldn't be as bad. All these markets wouldn't be distorted either. And it's not just cars, and it's not just windmills, and it's not just solar panels. This is the excuse. Global warming, carbon dioxide, all that garbage is the excuse to make your gas more expensive, make your car more expensive, make your electricity more expensive, makes building a home more expensive, makes your food more expensive. And it's also the control, the excuse for control, not just spending, not just tariffs and subsidies and moving money around, but they want to control the size of your home. They want to control the size of your car. They want to control your meat intake if they allow you to have any meat at all. Well, I mean, what else is the basis for all these people that want you to eat bugs? Yeah, it's global warming, isn't it? So how much electricity you use, how that electricity is produced, where the electricity is produced, when the electricity is produced, they like, damn, Zeus, back off. How much power do you want to have? And even with all this, even though they've already established all these little facets and branches of power. Have they stopped? Have they had enough? Oh my good God, no. The eco-Nazi thirst for control is only getting started. Look at every facet of your life. How many times have you driven past a bike path this month? How many times do you go past a bike path every day with no bikes on it? How many times do you walk past the recycling bin of stuff that won't get recycled? How many times have you seen, I mean, you saw this with your own eyes. You saw plastic straws wrapped in paper. Now they're replaced with paper straws wrapped in plastic. And we're supposed to believe that that's saving the planet, like that's somehow fighting climate change. Like this whole climate change is the excuse for all that. That's why the straw dissolves in your expensive drink if you go to a foo-foo bar. Every facet of life has constant reminders of climate change dogma. It's like you're being groomed. It's like you're being groomed to accept, these tiny little punishments and paper cuts for your sins of being alive and having a carbon footprint. But yeah, I will gripe about electric vehicles, not because I hate them or because I'm anti-electric vehicle, it's because they are a proven failure and their whole ethos is based on a hoax. But make no mistake about it. Let's do whatever you want. Even if electric cars become awesome and I change my mind on them. The global warming hoax, it has to go away. Think of all the other things that would go away. Think of all the things we're wasting money on. Think of all the ways we're changing your life. No more subsidies for wind farms or solar farms. No more salesmen coming to your house saying, hey, we want to put some solar panels on your roof. No more electric car subsidies. No more paper straws. No more cafe standards on car. No more ethanol subsidies. We get rid of all that ethanol garbage. No more light bulb prohibition. You can have a 100-watt light bulb back. No more trying to control your thermostat. Remember, they want to control it all. That's what they tell you that. They warn you about that. That's one of the things that Obama warned you about. You can't just have your own thermostat however you want all the time.
We can't drive our SUVs and, eat as much as we want and keep our homes on, 72 degrees at all times. And whether we're living in a desert or we're living in the tundra, and then just expect that every other country is going to say, okay, you guys go ahead and keep on using 25% of the world's energy, even though you only account for 3% of the population.
And that's why they believe this, not because they really think the Earth's being destroyed. They wouldn't be buying beachfront property. It is their excuse for something that they were wanting anyway. Power.